We just didn't use a gavel, we used a sledgehammer this time, so. We're about to start this meeting of February 15th, 2022, and before we do, I'm going to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. If you'd like to join me, please feel free to do so. Would you join me in the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, here. We have been called to order. Next item on the agenda is roll call, and we did want to let everyone know that Mr. Duncan is going to be absent. He is coming back from, my understanding, he's traveling back from the national cheerleading event that he went to. So he was down there representing the board there and did a fine job of taking care of the people down there and representing them well. So we wish him safe travels back. Mr. Wise is not going to be here. He's still a little bit under the weather, so continue to pray for him when you go to the Lord to pray. Next item on the agenda is adoption of regular agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Daniels, second by Ms. Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is adoption of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Wilkerson, second by Mr. Gregory. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, consideration of the minutes of the January 18th, 2021 regular meeting. I think that should be 2022, but it says 2021.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Daniels, second by Ms. Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is recognition of Glenda Aiken, Westmoreland High School.
Yep, Mr. Duffer, Mr. Creasy, do y'all want to come down? Miss Aiken, Mr. Wilkerson, y'all come on down to the front.
Come on over. This is Miss Glenda Aiken. Recently celebrated her birthday at Westmoreland High School. She was born on December the 7th, 1941 in Simpson County, Kentucky. Her parents were Ruby Carter Aiken and John Aiken Jr. She had two siblings, Mary Aiken Comer and John W. Aiken. She's a resident of Portland most of her life. She attended school and graduated from Portland High School in 1959. She loved sports and played varsity basketball in high school. Parents were strong supporters of continuing education. Attended Western Kentucky University, graduated with a BA in social science in 1963. Later completed her master's plus 30 in education and library science. Studied history at Peabody University. She was hired by Principal Charles Wright in August of 1963 to teach at Westmoreland High School in Sumner County School System. So that is 59 years ago, 58 years ago. She taught history and was school's cheerleader sponsor. Later, a student council advisor and sponsor of junior class for many years. In 1975, became the librarian at Westmoreland. That was the year I graduated, so I guess she had all she could stand in the history class. She became the librarian at the high school until after Miss Elma Harwood retired. She has served as school librarian from then until the present. She has taught 4 generations of the community's children. She's had 7 different principals, and she's kept every one of them in line, including the present principal and assistant principal. Served on numerous school improvement, leadership, and accreditation committees. She was selected the School Teacher of the Year in 2002. WHS dedicated the school yearbook to her in 2003, recognized by the school board in 2016 for her longevity of service to the system in Westmoreland High School. She is recognized as a scholar of the Bible, having taught the ladies' Sunday school class at her church, First Baptist of Portland, for many years. She is a world traveler, having visited the Holy Lands in Israel and Jordan, Peru, in South America, Germany, Finland, Australia, Iceland, Italy, Switzerland, France, England, Ireland, Scotland, Greece, Russia, Egypt, Australia, New Zealand, and many areas in Canada and the United States. An avid student of history, especially World War II, and local history and family genealogy, loves being a citizen of the United States, and is keenly aware of the political issues that we face. In celebration of her life, her 80th birthday, and her 58 years as an educator of Westmoreland High School, I'd like to present Miss Glenda Aiken. As a token, instead of giving certificates now, we have a coin that we would like to present to you from the school board. One for you and one for Mr. Creasy also.
Is this for our tolerance of
That's,
her?
that's for
That's his
her
coin.
tolerance of y'all.
Miss Aiken, you want to say something? I know Mr. Duffy probably does too.
All I can say is thank you. And it's been a great career, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else, and I wouldn't trade that school for any other school in the country.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Miss Aikens is a pleasure to work with, and if you would have asked me what she majored in, I'd have told you business, everybody's business. She knows what's going on, and if you need to know anything, you go to Miss A. She'll fill you in and tell you what's happening. On the way in, Mr. Brewer, he asked, he said, "Is that Miss Aiken?" I said, "It is." And he said, she looks like a nice lady. I said, "She's a very bright lady." And Mr. Gregory, he said, "She used to be my neighbor, but she moved." And Mr. Brewer said, "She is a bright lady." Mr. Gregory didn't see the humor in that, but Mr. Brewer and I did. But she is phenomenal. She was skiing or snowmobiling a few years ago. Snowmobiling. She broke her leg. Ankle, not her leg or ankle, but she's very active, cognitively very sharp, socially very, very active. So she is a wonderful, wonderful lady, and to know her is to love her. So thank you guys for recognizing her. We certainly appreciate and love her at Westmoreland High School, and we hope she's around a long time to keep us all straight. So thank you.
Y'all come on around, we can get some photos.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to present her tonight.
Very well. Thank you for bringing it up.
Y'all come on around right here. Come on, Mr. Chris, come on.
Mr. Creasy, good to see you, John. Yes, sir. Hey,
I know.
need to get him reelected. Davis, he's good.
All right, good. All right, everybody smile.
If Josh does, well, then he probably will.
Y'all come on up.
Look at me. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
I'll wait for Mr. Brewer. Hey, Ms. Brewer.
Mr. Daniels?
Yeah, Ms. Aiken, before you get a chance to get out of here, I just want to take a second to say that, you know, I'm fortunate. I grew up in a family of teachers. My dad was a principal for a number of years. My mom was a librarian. You probably had encounters with her. I don't know if I need to apologize for that or not. She was at, I think, Guild for a number of years before she went to Union. And so I know how hard you work. You know, sometimes people look at librarians and they're like, oh, they just sit in the library and count books or whatever it is. But I know how much more you do than that. And while, you know, I know we're here to honor the number of years of service you have, I would just like to thank you for the legacy that you're leaving in this county and your community. It's a lot of years, but it's a lot of lives that you've touched and had an impact on. And I can't imagine, you know, when the day comes, how many people are going to be in line to greet you. And thank you for everything that you've done for them. So thank you for your service, but more importantly, thank you for the legacy that you're leaving for your school and your community.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Mr. Gregory?
One remark, I've known Miss Akins for a few years, and that is true what Mr. Brewer said too. It doesn't mean what he said was true, but it was true what he said. And I hope all of you remember one thing that was said, where she lived.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilkerson?
She lived in Portland, but she came to Westmoreland to teach, so.
Stayed a long time.
It was a good move.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. All righty, next item on the agenda is reports from the director.
Just wanted to make sure you guys, I think some of you come from time to time, Special Olympics scheduled for Friday, May the 6th at Station Camp High School. If you haven't been to that before, it's awesome. Norma, her team do a phenomenal job. I think mark that down on your calendar. If you have a chance, come by, okay? Anytime, normally usually from 9:30, 10 o'clock on, something like that. So if you have a chance, be sure and mark that on your calendar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Next item on the agenda is new business discussion and interaction regarding the naming of facilities at Gallatin High School.
Yeah, I think in talking to Mr. Johnson, we're going to move this to next month. So
Okay.
mark the
We'll move that
March
to-
voting session.
All right, so we're
Thank you.
moving that into the March meeting then. Next item then is discussion and interaction regarding a revision to policy 1.803, tobacco-free schools. Is there a motion? So moved by, yeah, Miss Sarah. And seconded by everybody, so I'll take Miss Hayes. So, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, unfinished business, discussion and interaction regarding amendments to the general purpose budget. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we accept.
Motion approved by Mr. Wilkerson, second by Mr. Gregory. And any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion and interaction regarding amendments to the federal budget. Is there a motion approved by Ms. Bachman? Yeah. I heard voices over there, but I couldn't distinguish which one it was. So now there you go. You turn around.
Okay, sorry.
By Ms. Bachman, is there a second by?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item is discussion of study session items. That's usually Mr. Johnson.
we will have several wonderful study session items that Mr. Langford and I will plan a little later on, unless anybody has any suggestions.
All right, if you do, you know who to call and who to get in touch with, and we'll go from there. Next item on the agenda is communication from board members. We will start with Ms. Hayes.
This meeting is going fast. Good evening. Thank you, Chairman Brewer. And I'm sure those of you that were in attendance will probably bring this up too. But last Monday night was the mid-year graduation service. The central office, y'all did a phenomenal job. It was done in two separate meeting times. I made the 4 o'clock one. There was a 7 o'clock, I believe. But I really like what you said, Mr. Langford, at the 4 o'clock ceremony, how just looking out and seeing all the colors, the representation of the high schools that were at the 4 o'clock time, and just the county, the community of parents and the county coming together. And then for our kids just to have this option to graduate early, move on to whatever their next step is, military, their career, starting college. It was just I just appreciate the work that goes into that and leading up to giving these students this opportunity, and then to have the recognition service for them. So it was wonderful. Thank you. And on Tuesday night, I attended the AP Open House, which Hendersonville High School has done for many years. COVID put it off for the 2-year period, but the open house is an opportunity for parents to come in and look at all the different options of the AP courses at HHS, and there was a great crowd. And the ninth graders that will be coming into high school. So the teachers are available, and they do a group gathering. And this year, which I just told the AP teachers, I thought that was just wonderful. They had a panel, and they allowed the students the opportunity to answer questions that would benefit the group about their experience with AP classes, their extracurricular activities. You know, their life is just not totally, they're not in the books all the time. These were athletes, these were involved in the ag program, arts. They were well-rounded young people. But already many of these AP students, they told us where they were going on to school. And wow, full scholarship rides. I mean, this is MIT, this is Vanderbilt's, this is Harvard, Yale. Or, you know, one young lady said, well, I've gotten like 4 or 5 offers, and I'm just not really sure. And so she named them off, and she was trying to make her decision over 5 top academic schools, you know. So, and I just appreciate the work that goes into providing our students in this county these AP offerings. Shout out to the dance teams, and I know there's many of you that are going to go ahead and say this, so I'm not going to dwell. The cheer squads and the dance squads in this county, they're phenomenal. So I'm just going to let Sarah, you share about Hunter and their national, but they just are great ambassadors for Sumner County on a national level. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Ms. Bachman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will echo what Ms. Hayes said about the graduations. I was able to attend both of them, and I appreciate all the work that you, Mr. Langford, and Ms. Hall, Christie did in pulling that all together. The students enjoyed it. And to see the students from E.B. Wilson, some of them had not met each other so much before because they were in virtual. So they were able to, and I think that was a large class. I think it's the largest mid-year class that they had. But it was amazing to see them and to hear what all they were going to do with their lives from then on. So it's always a pleasure to go to that. Today is also National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. So if you can sometime this week reach out to your SROs and tell them how much we appreciate them for keeping our schools safe and having a positive influence on our students. So, and I guess that will be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman. Ms. Andrews?
Yes, thank you. I would like to say congratulations to all of our cheer and dance teams. I am not going to steal Mr. Duncan's thunder, because I know he's gonna come back and he's gonna want to share with us. So I'm gonna allow him the time to do that. I will say, however, if you'll tune in tomorrow morning at 4, on Channel 4, I think it's tomorrow morning, let me double check that. Yes, between 5 and 7 a.m., Holly Thompson is going to be highlighting the accomplishments of Hunter Cheer Squad. So if you have a chance to tune in the morning, do that. But they were fun. It's my annual weekend of sitting on the couch with my laptop hooked up to my TV watching more cheer than any normal person should really consume. And my husband says amen. But it's fine. Just want to also give a shout out to Bill Alexander, who has recently been named as the head football coach to Liberty Creek. That's an amazing addition for them. A huge loss for Beach High School. Coach Alexander heads up the FCA program there, and just is an incredible role model for students. So excited for Liberty Creek, sad for Beach. And then also just want to remind us that we're going into, as we're coming out of cheer and dance, we're going into DECA and HOSA, FBLA, and all the other clubs traveling. So just continue to keep those activities in your thoughts and prayers. And as they do travel, parents get a little nervous, as they start getting away farther and so forth. So remember that. I also want to acknowledge that that down in Nashville, they're in session. And I feel like any time, obviously those are times that we want to keep our eyes on what is happening, but there are some serious education bills that are making their way through. So I'm just going to encourage you to keep your eyes on that. One bill in particular that I'm very concerned about and have been sharing information about on social media is House Bill 2833. It's in regards to charter schools and how that will drastically change how they're accepted and just some different things that are going on there. That was heard it was supposed to be in committee today. They've rolled it 2 weeks to March 1st. So if you have a chance, the members on that subcommittee, please contact them and ask them to vote no. There's also another bill that's running through lottery that we would, if it passes, we'll have to take up here regarding changing the grading scale. I know there's a lot of parents that are anxiously waiting to see what happens with that bill. So both of those. And then lastly, she's probably going to kill me, but because she doesn't like the attention. But if you will remember Commissioner Shell, her mother passed away this week. And so they will be having that service this week, but just keep her in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Ms. Hawkins?
Thank you. I just wanted to speak just a moment about something this last week. I think the schools had a day where everybody wore their college, their favorite schools, t-shirts, sweatshirts, that kind of thing. And I just want to say that I really, really appreciate Ms. Andrews having a shirt that highlights skilled trade as an alternative to college, or I kind of wish that this shirt day would include skilled labor and the people going into the CTE classes and things, because that is a good alternative for a lot of students, and I think they need to be included in that. So I really appreciate you pointing that out, because a lot of our students do go into skilled trade, and we're finding out more and more that we need skilled tradesmen and women. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Mr. Daniels?
Yeah, I think in the last couple of weeks, a lot of our schools were releasing their honor rolls for the first semester, and a lot of students were recognized for that. And so, obviously we recognize them, but I also think we recognize the teachers that put in the time and made sure they spent time with their students and had the opportunity to teach them. And the kids were able to process that information and do a really good job. Ms. Andrews had mentioned a lot of events are starting to kick up as we get into spring. HOSA, our business associations, forensic leagues, things like that. We're also starting to get into spring sports. We're wrapping up basketball season. Tournaments start now, and we've got a great team from Sumner County. We've got a number of great teams from Sumner County that have an opportunity to possibly make a run at state this year. which means there's going to be a lot of time on the road. And so best of luck and safety to them. Softball season, track season, baseball season, soccer season, it's all about to kick up to not just the high school level, but at the middle school level. Going to have a lot of kids and parents on the road. So, obviously we hope for the best and the safety for all of those students. And I've always been proud of the way they've represented us, as schools in our district, in the way that they interact on the playing field. So best of luck to them, and to our students and our teachers as we continue to move forward through the rest of the second semester. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Ms. Brown?
I want to say something about something I've done, so I'm not fussing at anybody, and I think in my mind we should reword this. We keep saying when we refer to trades and things, agriculture, all of that, alternative. It's not an alternative. To me, it's another path, and we ought to concentrate on it as a path, not as an alternative. Because no, not everyone was ever meant to go to college in the first place. Schools forced it on people. We literally did. We said, everybody's got to go to college. I said, what the heck for? I mean, they make a heck of a lot more money not going to college and have no debt. So I wish we'd try to remember to call it a paths instead of alternatives. The other thing is the thing at Beach. Ms. Bachman and I have attended several times the Olympics thing they do, and they have a ball, and I'm encouraging y'all to go because it's really fun. And you can also go to where they sell their plants. You can buy a plant, you can make a donation. You don't have to make a donation. And the kids really have a good time. And you see them in a little different light. And I think that's good for us as well as for them. And we need to be supportive, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. Gregory?
I'd like to say a thank you to Miss Andrews. I haven't talked with her. But her involvement in an issue last week with the state legislature. And you look confused.
Which one?
What'd you say?
Which one?
Well, thank you. Word travels, And we have about 4,200 employees. Is that correct?
More than that.
A little more. And I am really proud of every one of them. But our classified, our group that I'd like to give a big shout out to, starting early in the morning with bus drivers, late in the afternoon with bus drivers, and all the classified in the school buildings. They are a wonderful group of people, and I appreciate it. And I know the bus driver situation, not only in our county, but every county I hear of. I've seen buses parked not only in the state of Tennessee, but the state of Kentucky, wanting bus drivers. And I appreciate it. Or we do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Mr. Wilkerson?
Let's also remember basketball season is going into its tournament time. A lot of traveling there. Hopefully Westmoreland will make a nice, shining presence. Thank you for allowing me to present Ms. Akins to the board. And you all have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkerson. Y'all don't have to worry. I've only got about 45 minutes, and then we'll get out of here. You know that ain't gonna happen. Our next meeting is March 2nd, is that correct? March 2nd, yeah, okay. Well, I will not be here for March 2nd. I will be in California with my lovely daughter, who is going to be on Wheel of Fortune. So she tapes the show March the 2nd, and we're going to drive out there.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't fret. Y'all know that I used to be in the entertainment business, and one of the many jobs I had in the entertainment business was I drove buses. And I had made that trip hundreds of times, so I can do it. And every time I would ride out there, I would think, boy, I wish Rita and Robin could be here with me to see this. This is just beautiful out here. Well, I finally get to take them out there, and we're going to drive, and they're going to get to see some of the things that I've got to say over the years. So that's pretty doggone cool. I apologize for being like my mother. I shouldn't. My mother was fantastic, but she used to yell at us and couldn't get our name straight, and she said, well, you know who you are. And that's kind of how I feel when I'm going, Miss and sometimes it's just, and Miss Andrews looks and goes, Miss Andrews, I need all the help I can get. And I am so proud of Sumner County Schools. I get the opportunity, I've got an agent in my office that markets to the California West Coast people that's coming in here, and they're all asking about the schools. And he always has them in the conference room, comes in and says, hey, would you come in and tell them about Sumner County Schools? I can't talk enough about them. I mean, I'm telling what great things we have going, because it's a fantastic place to be. If anybody says something negative about it, I kind of get my ire up a little bit. Whoa, don't be talking about this school system. You need to be learning from this school system. So with that, I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week, and y'all think about winning in California. And we're adjourned.